Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This week is very exciting. So I have teamed up with Cult Beauty and they have sponsored me to make this video in celebration of Be Your Own Makeup Artist Week. So basically they have this huge campaign right now and it's all about teaching you guys top tricks, top tips, and basically you can be your own makeup artist. So I was really excited when they came to me with this campaign because I was a makeup artist. I am, I suppose. You never really stop being a makeup artist. But I was a practicing makeup artist for 5 years before I started YouTube, and I was really excited to share with you some of my tips and tricks. So this tutorial is going to be on this entire look. It is very old school Jamie. I used to do looks like this all the time. So I was really excited to create this look for you guys. It's going to be a little bit more in depth than my usual tutorials. I'm going to try and teach you guys as much as I can about makeup and how to achieve this look in an easy way, but it gives you really nice dramatic results. It's a dramatic makeup, let's not lie. That strong cut crease, that smoky grungy eye, that wing. All my favourite things in one look. It is full coverage, it is highlighted, it is everything that I want to be. All the products that I've used today can obviously be found on Cult Beauty, and if you watch till the end of the video, I have a little discount code for you guys for Cult Beauty. And Cult Beauty are also holding a competition where you could win £500 worth of products. Wish I'd known that before I did my haul. I'm joking. If you guys would like to see how I created this entire makeup artistry look, then please stay tuned. Hello! So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do my eyebrows. The product I'm going to use is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade medium brown. And I'm just going to fill in my eyebrow as normal. I'm going to start at the front and I'm going to create that line the whole way round. And this pencil is really good because it fills in the little gaps on your skin as well, and I like to kind of go slightly over my brow shape because we're going to clean these up with concealer this time. I'm going to go right to the front of the brow, and then we're going to do the same thing but on the top, and I'm going to start from about here and we're going to do the same thing on the top, and we're going to carry that right on through the tail of the brow. See how much better that looks already? And then I'm lightly going to go through the middle section of the brow, make sure there's no little gaps where the hair is a little bit more sparse. Oh, something's tickling me. A drop of hair. And I always like to make the arch just a little bit higher. And then a nice easy way to break up the product a little bit is just to use the spoolie to brush through the brow every now and again. Make sure there's no build up of product in any certain areas. Now I'm going to take my Kevyn Aucoin Skin Enhancer. This is like a really thick concealer, and I'm going to use this. It's in the shade SX07, which is just slightly lighter than my skin tone. It's not too white. And I'm going to use my Zoeva Brown Lime brush. This is the 322 brush, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that and put it on the back of my hand. You only need a tiny little bit. So the reason I like to use it on the back of my hand is because I use my brush on its side and just pick up little bits of product at a time, and then we're going to clean up this brow. So the way I like to do that, this brush is really good for it because it's super straight, so you can just use that. Use the straight edge of the brush to get that nice straight solid line. And then you can use the side of the brush to kind of start dragging that product down, because we're actually going to use this concealer as an eyeshadow base as well. I'm all about the multi-purpose products. Then I'm going to get a little bit more concealer, and then I'm going to flip my hand up here and we're going to carve out the top of the brow. So again, we're going to use the flat edge of the brush. I used to absolutely love using this brush on clients when I was carving out brows. It's just the easiest thing. And you can use it flat on its side. And again, I'm just kind of carving the brow out from about ½ an inch in and then bringing that right down to the tail of the brow as well. And that's how you get that nice sharp point. And then I'm just going to use this little pencil and just create little hair-like strokes at the very front just to make that look a little bit fuller. Then I'm going to go in with the concealer buffer brush. This is 142 by Zoeva again. Blend that into my skin and then onto the lid. Now I don't use too much on the lid. I just use enough to get a nice coverage so you can't see any of my pigmentation. I'm going straight in with this brush in the back of my hand again, and then we're going to go right over the lid. Because this stuff's so tacky, it actually acts as a really good eyeshadow base. Now that we've done that, I'm going to go straight in with this powder. This is one of my favourite powders. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder in the shade 2, which is medium. I'm going to take some of that and I'm going to set the lid. And that is perfectly mattified and it's ready for the eyeshadow. Now, just to set the brow, I'm going to go in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Gel. This is probably one of my favourite clear brow gels on the market. I used to use it all the time, and then I decided I needed to try a couple other ones, but this always will be one of my favourites. And because it's clear, you can actually use this in your hair. You can use it to kind of smooth out baby hairs. If you're doing a really slick ponytail, use this just to get the edges of your hair super slick back. It's just fab. It's almost like a kind of hairspray texture. Pretty hard and crunchy on the brows, but it does keep the brow hairs in place all day. So I'm just brushing the front hairs upwards, and then I'm just continuing the hairs through the brow in their normal position. And that is a super defined, fluffy, thick brow. Moving on to eyeshadow, I'm actually using the Violet Voss Pro eyeshadows. This is what it looks like. Really gorgeous palette. This is actually my first time using it, but I've wanted to try it for so long. And then when I saw it on the Cult Beauty website, I knew that this is what I wanted to use. And I am super impressed, super impressed. So I'm going to go in with my Zoeva Luxe Soft Definer brush. This is brush number 227, and we're going to go in with the shade Transition first, which is this one right here. And we're going to do exactly that. We're going to build up our transition. So I'm just going to go in the crease first. If you guys have watched my channel for a little while, you'll know how much I love the Zoeva brushes. They are so affordable, but they are completely professional. So I'm just building up that transition. You can see the pigment's fab. It goes on so smoothly. There's no choppiness. It's just a really easy eyeshadow to use, and I'm all about that life. So I'm bringing that right in to the inner corner. If you look here, I've got the dark right in the inner corner so I can create that nice deep cut crease. And then I like to use the brush on its side just to start winging that shadow out. Now I'm going to go in with the shade called Hashtag, which is this gorgeous orange colour, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Now I'm swapping over to my 228 Luxe Crease brush, and I'm going to go in with the shade Teddy Bear, which is this really gorgeous deep kind of plummy brown, and we're going to start building that crease right up. So starting on the outer corner and bringing that right in. And I always like to go back in with my other eyeshadow brush, the 227, and just use that to diffuse the darker tone into the transition shade. You can even use a little bit of the transition shade to help blend. Just taking little bits of product at a time, placing them on the lid and then blending, and then using the transition shade again when you need to. It's all about just building up the colours bit by bit. You guys know I love this brush. It's the 224 from Zoeva, and I'm going to go straight in with the shade Teddy Bear, and then I'm going to under my eyes. And I actually don't have any primer or concealer or anything under my eyes, and I'm just going to use the natural oils in my skin to start building that up. And then I'm going to start using the 224 to build the crease up a little bit more with that Teddy Bear colour. And then I'm going to use the Teddy Bear colour and start to go onto the lid on the outer corner. That right there is like my favourite grungy eye look. You already know. Now I'm going to go in with the shade Crystal, which is just here in the corner. It's a really gorgeous highlight colour. And the 234 Luxe Smoky Shader brush. And we're just going to highlight the brow bone right meow. You can see that pigment straight away. I'm going to bring that into the inner corner just a little touch more. The darker shade, Teddy Bear. Now I'm going to cut the crease, and the way I do that is super easy, but the most important part is this brush here. It is the 226 Smudger brush by Zoeva. It is the perfect shape for just placing in the crease and dragging down, and you get that perfect cut crease straight away. So the product I'm going to use to cut the crease is actually the foundation I'm going to use. So this is the Becca Ultimate Coverage Complexion Cream. I used to use this foundation all the time. Don't really know why I stopped. I think I was trying out other things, but I'm actually going to take a little bit of that on the back of my hand. And this foundation is super duper matte, so that's why I'm using it. It's really matte. It dries down really nicely as well. And I'm just going to place the brush on. I'm going to take some of that product, and I'm going to place the brush on, and I'm going to just mimic the other side. So I just follow the crease and go slightly higher. And then onto the lid a little bit as well. And then I like to use the concealer buffer brush just to kind of smooth that out a little bit into the eyeshadow. And see how easy that was? It would literally take me 2 seconds. It makes the idea of doing a cut crease so much less daunting. Easy peasy. Now we're going to take our eyeshadow smoky shader, the 234 brush, and we're just going to set that with Thanks a Latte, which is the it's kind of like the shade that you would use to mattify your primer. And we're just going to pack that on top of the foundation to make sure it's all set and we're not going to get anything slipping around. Now, if you wanted to stick for a matte cut crease, you would stop right here, but I've been dying to try this product and I finally tried it today. It's the Stila Magnificent Metals Glitter and Glow Eyeshadow. So I just give this a little shake and we're just going to apply this directly onto the cut crease portion of our eye makeup. Oh, look at that. How beautiful is that? I'm obsessed. So I just kind of keep my eye closed, dry it off a little bit, and then I'm going to use the same brush I used to mattify down just to kind of stipple that product down at the ends, just so there's no harsh line where it ends and the matte shadow begins. And then I'm just going to kind of roughly pat that in just because it helps it dry quicker. How pretty is that? Come on, you. Dry. A little tip I've got for you for a cut crease is if you take a really teeny tiny fine liner brush, the 315 by Zoeva, and Teddy Bear, which is the dark shade, you can kind of go around where the cut crease is and just darken the shadow part, and it kind of makes it contrast a little bit more. So easy. I'm going to just take my little petite crease brush, the 231, and the shade Crystal again, and I'm just going to pop my inner corner. My cut crease is nice and dry now, so I'm going to go in with my liner. The liner I'm going to use is the NYX Epic Ink Liner. You'll have seen me use this a million times. It's one of my favourite liners because it's got that really gorgeous brush tip, which just makes it really easy. It's an artistic brush, so it's really easy to get that nice defined flick. And yeah, I'm going to just try and make this one the same as this one. So I'm going to start in the inner corner, really nice and thin. And a little tip for you, I would start nice and thin, and the thickest part of the liner is right here at the end of my eye, and then I would taper it out to make that flick. That is a really easy, quick way to make your eyes look more almond shaped. It's really flattering and it basically makes your eyes look bigger. So let's do this. And then I like to judge the length of my wing by looking at the tail of my brow, so you can see that it just comes out a tiny little bit further than the tail of my brow. Now I've got a little bit of fine tuning to do, but what I did there was I keep my eye open when I draw the line for my flick, and then I keep it open when I'm dragging it back, and that way I can see exactly what kind of shape it's going to look like on my eye. Okay, I'm happy enough with that wing at the moment. I'm going to glue up my lashes, put on my mascara, and then we'll have a look at it when it's done. The lashes I'm going to use are the Huda Beauty Farah lashes. Again, these are lashes I used to wear all the time, so I'm very comfortable with them. And I'm just going to take these out the box. And my tip for lashes are make sure you cut them short enough. So my lashes actually don't start until I'm way in here, and that way they're just really comfortable. They're more kind of focused on the outside of the eye. That kind of makes it have that beautiful kind of almond shaped. Also, I cut off most of it from the end, but I actually cut off a little bit from the inside as well, just to make sure that they're super long and fluffy, because I like quite a dramatic lash. And my biggest tip for lashes is to glue them up before you do your mascara. Make sure you're putting on your lash glue and then you just sit them down somewhere. The natural curve of the lash will let them sit pretty happily on top of a counter, so I'm just going to put them behind me. And then in the time it takes for your lashes to dry, you can do your full mascara and sometimes even start your lip, and that just pretty much makes sure that the lashes are nice and tacky when you're putting them on. You're not going to have to fight with them to stick them on or anything like that. I'm going to use Roller Lash by Benefit Mascara. The reason I picked this one is because it's got a really nice curved wand, which I really like for my bottom lashes. And because I wear lashes every day, I don't really need to worry about how thick my top lashes are, but I do like to make sure that my bottom lashes are nice and thick and long and black. The little thing I've got here is called a lash star. So this is like a lash applicator, and it is my favourite type of tweezer. So I'm gonna take my lash and put my tweezers, my little lash applicator, and I'm gonna place the lash from the outside of my eye in. Now these lashes are synthetic, which means that they're kind of a little bit tougher to put on. The band's a little bit thicker, hence why I really like using these when I'm wearing liner. It's quite difficult to get these stuck right on without some liner just to kind of hide where the lash sits. And it just makes them sit super close to the natural lash line and just sit perfect. And that is the eyes finished. I'll zoom you out. Whee! Now that we're finished our eyes, we're going to move on to skin, my favourite part. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep my skin, and I'm going to use my Kypress Heliotropic sunscreen and primer. So this is SPF 30. Recently I have found out how important it is to protect your skin every single day. Even if you live in Scotland and the weather's rubbish, if you live abroad or in America where this weather's mostly nice, then definitely you should be using SPF. The reason I like this is it leaves no white cast. It is super silky and smooth, and makeup goes on top so beautifully. So I'm going to take some of this, and I'm just going to rub that into my skin, my little forehead as well. Obviously, if you guys are doing your makeup at home, you feel free to put this on before you do your eye makeup. It is probably a little bit easier, but you need to be making sure that you're using that sunscreen, guys. Protect your skin. Now we're nice and protected, I am going to go in with the Farsali Rose Golden Elixir 24 karat gold infused beauty oil. Now I have used this a couple of times and I really do like it. I'm a huge fan of oils. I think that they completely change the way that foundation and skin makeup sits on the face. So I'm going to take about 4 drops of that, rub it into my hands, push that into my skin. So we're looking nice and glowy and borderline oily. And the reason I love using oil so much is because I like to use a nice full coverage foundation, and it is very easy for full coverage foundations to look cakey on the skin, and that is what we are going to avoid at all costs. Now, like I said earlier, the foundation I'm going to use is the Becca Ultimate Coverage Complexion Cream. 2 pumps onto the back of my hand. I'm going to apply that with my finger in little dots on my skin. The colour I'm using is the shade Nude. It's perfect for me with my little tan I've got going on. So I've put that in little dots all over my face, and it's just going to help us get a nice even coverage, and I've left a little bit over on the back of my hand just in case I need it. I'm actually going to go in with my oil again. So I'm going to take a little dropper of that and I'm going to put it directly onto my beauty blender, about 5 drops. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the face, and then we're going to start blending this foundation in. And I absolutely love this technique because it makes the foundation look so gorgeous and radiant, even though I'm getting that full coverage. I'm going to bring it down my neck a little bit. I like to go over my lips because I don't like the natural pigmentation of them. I'm being careful around my eyebrows, and then I'm using the beauty blender just to blend that into my hairline. And not only does the oil kind of sheer out the foundation, but it gives it that beautiful glowiness that's naturally not really in that foundation. The foundation itself is quite matte. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tiniest little bit of my Kevyn Aucoin concealer, put that on the back of my hand. We're going to work off the back of our hand for this, and we're going to highlight under our eyes. And then we're also going to highlight Cupid's bow, the chin and the forehead. Now obviously this is adding quite a lot of coverage. I actually love having loads of coverage, and I love having sheer foundation as well, but today's just a full coverage day, okay? And then I'm going to really carefully blend that right underneath my eyes, just using the side of the beauty blender, and that is super dramatic. Now I'm going to use the 105 Luxe Highlight Brush, but I'm actually going to use it for powder, and I'm just going to powder under my eyes, and I like to use patting motions first and then sweep, and you'll see that that just makes the highlight die down nice and natural, but it also powders it right down, and that, my friends, is a long lasting under eye. I'm going to do the same thing to the centre areas of my face, and I'm leaving the outsides of my skin nice and dewy and fresh. Now I'm actually going to swap back into my eyeshadow palette and use the shade Hashtag with my Luxe Soft Definer, and we're going to run that underneath our eyes, and that's going to make our eyeshadow blend right into our foundation. And it also mattifies the concealer just one more time. Time to add some definition to the skin again. So this is the Becca Sun Chaser palette, and inside it's got a gorgeous blush, my opal highlight, which is my favourite, and a really nice bronzer as well. Now I read tons of really good reviews on this, hence why I've got it. And we're going to use this to kind of bronze and highlight and add some definition to the skin. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Charlotte Tilbury blusher brush. This is one of my favourite brushes for doing this. And I'm going to go in with the bronzer first, and I'm just going to bronze up my entire face. And I'm just going down my cheekbones, and then I like to use nice circular movements just to bring that up to my cheeks. The forehead as well. This palette is so ideal for travelling, it's the easiest thing. Under my jaw as well, and down my neck to make sure everything's tying in nicely. And then I'm just going to use the same big brush and just do a little touch of this just down the sides of my nose. Obviously we've used pretty full coverage foundation, so I just want to make sure my nose doesn't get lost in my face. Now I'm going to go in with the little blush shade. So I should say that this is, I think it's just Panama Sunset. This is Apricot Blossom, and Opal. So I'm going to go in with the Apricot Blossom, and we're just going to put the tiniest little touch of that just above our bronzer. And now I'm going to go in with the Luxe Powder Fusion brush. This is one of my favourite Zoeva brushes, and we're going to go in with the Opal highlight. Oh, you just can't beat this. It's my favourite highlight of all time. And because this brush is so tiny, you can get that nice precision on where you're highlighting. And then I'm just going to do a little touch above the brow. And then I'm going to swap to my little Luxe pencil brush. This is the 230 brush from Zoeva. Tin Man the nose. And then just do the tiniest little thin line down the very centre of my nose as well. Oh, healthy! Cupid's bow. The lip products I'm going to use are actually products that I've used before and I really like. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat Lip Pencil in the shade Iconic Nude. And this is the Stila Stay All Day Liquid Lipstick in Carmelo. So I'm going to line my lips first, and the way that I like to do that is I kind of clean off my lips on the back of my hand a little bit because I do like to cover them in foundation. And I'm going to start on my top lip today. And I'm going to draw a little kind of V shape. And then I'm just going to continue and do the rest of my lip. Now the reason I like this lip pencil so much is because it's called Lip Cheat, and the reason it's called that is because it's so good for overdrawing your lips. So if you like to overdraw a little bit or a lot, whatever, it is a really nice texture and it almost looks like lip texture, so it doesn't look like lip liner everywhere. It's super natural and it's just a fab colour as well. I love it. So now we are nice and lippy. I'm going to apply my liquid lipstick, and the way that I like to do this, straight from the bullet, and then I like to pat it down with my finger. So you guys, that is the finished look. I really hope you like it. It was so much fun for me to create this. I do just feel like the old Jamie. This is the makeup I used to do all the time on Instagram, and even when I was like going to work, everything. I absolutely loved doing makeup like this, so it was really fun. A huge thank you to Cult Beauty for including me in this campaign. As soon as I saw that it was called Be Your Own Makeup Artist, I was super excited because that is exactly how I started out YouTube. I'm going to pop a little code down here for you guys because Cult Beauty have been kind enough to supply me with a discount code for you guys. So the code will be CBXJamieG, and that will give you 15% off all orders over £25. You also get free shipping over £25 as well. I'm sure you guys have seen that I've done tons of videos, and most of them include my purchases from Cult Beauty, so I am an avid consumer. I am a customer of Cult Beauty already, so I can vouch for their shipping. It comes super quick. Cult Beauty also have a competition, and you are in with a chance of winning £500 of Cult Beauty vouchers, so you yourself can do your own big huge Cult Beauty haul like I did. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope that you learned some of my tips and tricks, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!